Hi, friends. Today I'm going to read you a story from Australia called Tiddalick, the Greedy Frog. Do you know what greedy means? Greedy means that you want everything for yourself and you don't want to share it. This story comes from the Aborigines. If you remember from Big Rain Coming, the Aborigines are the first people who lived in Australia. Chapter 1, Dreamtime. Once there were no mountains, no rivers, no animals, and no people. There was no sun, no rain, and no wind. There was only darkness. Then the Dreamtime came to be, and wonderful things began to happen. The rainbow serpent came down from the sky and slithered across the earth. Mountains rose and valleys appeared. Rivers flowed, and the earth was slowly covered with trees, plants, and flowers. Animals appeared as if they had been blown in by the wind. In those days, when the earth was green and beautiful, there lived a giant frog named Tiddalick. He was bigger than the rocks. He was bigger than the trees. He was even bigger than the mountains. When Tiddalick was happy, everything was calm and peaceful. When he was grumpy, the earth would tremble, rocks would fall, and winds would rage. So, friends, you can tell that this is a made-up story. This is fiction. This is a folk tale that comes from Australia. Chapter 2, The Greedy Frog. Do you remember what greedy means? One morning, Tiddalick woke up in a very grumpy, greedy mood. He was so grumpy and greedy that when he went down to the lake to drink, he drank and drank until he had drunk all the water in the lake. Then he went down to the river. He drank and drank until he had drunk all the water in the river. Tiddalick was so greedy that he kept drinking night and day. He drank all the water from the lakes and streams. The greedy frog drank so much that there wasn't a drop of water left in the whole world. Tiddalick was so full he could hardly move. All he could do was lie down, close his great yellow eyes, and go to sleep. The land dried out and cracked. The rivers turned to dust. The trees lost their leaves. Oh, what is happening, friends? What happens when there's no rain? Are you making any connections to other stories we've read? The flowers did not bloom. Animals began to die. Nothing moved, and there was no sound. There was no rain. The land suffered from a terrible drought. I am making a connection to The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. Do you remember in William's Village? That was a true story when there was a drought. It also makes me think of Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plain, the story we read, the African folktale about Kaipat and how he had to shoot a feather into the cloud to make it rain. The animals cried, "We have nothing to drink. We have nothing to eat. There is no rain and no water. What can we do?" Chapter 3, The Challenge. The wise old wombat said, "We need to talk with Tiddalick. We can ask him to give us back our water." So one by one the animals went to Tiddalick. The animals argued about who should approach him first. Kangaroo was bravest. He said, "I will speak with him." "Tiddalick," he cried, "I am the jumping kangaroo. I cannot jump any more because I am so weak. All I can do is lie in the dust of the dry riverbed. Please give us back our water." The dingo said, "I am the wild dog who barks and howls in the night. I cannot bark and howl any more because I am so weak. All I can do is lie in the dust of the dry riverbed. Please give us back our water." Kookaburra came next. That's the bird. He said, "I am the bird who laughs in the trees. I cannot laugh any more because I am so weak. All I can do is perch on a branch of a dead tree. Please give us back our water." Then Cockatoo squawked loudly, "I am the bird with the brilliant white feathers and my bright yellow crest. I am very, very weak. My beautiful yellow crest is growing pale. Please give us back our water." Tiddalick did not stir. He didn't even open one of his big yellow eyes. It seemed that the greedy, grumpy frog would be the only one to survive. Chapter 4, A Solution. Do you remember what a solution is? It's how to fix a problem. The animals were about to give up. It seemed like they would die in the dust. But then they heard a small voice say, "I have an idea." I wonder who that is. The animals looked around. There was little Bandicoot, flapping his big rat ears. "If we could make Tiddalick laugh, I'm sure the water would flow from his mouth." Bandicoot squeaked, "Maybe we can tickle him. Let's find a branch." So the animals struggled to their feet and gathered around the giant frog to see if they could make him laugh. First, they tried tickling him, but Tiddalick didn't seem impressed. Kookaburra told some of his funny stories. Everyone laughed and laughed, but Tiddalick didn't. He didn't even blink. Next, Kangaroo and Emu jumped up and down, and around and around. Everyone laughed and laughed, but Tiddalick didn't. He didn't even open one eye. Lizard came down from a tree. He opened his frill and showed the animals his bright orange and red scales. Then he ran around and around on his hind legs. Everyone laughed and laughed, but Tiddalick didn't. He didn't even stir. Oh, friends, did it work? "Come on, Tiddalick, laugh, you big squelchy frog. If you could see yourself, you would laugh until you cried," the animal said. Look at his big belly full of water. Goodness gracious. But all seemed lost. The animals were sure they were doomed. Tiddalick would never laugh, and they would never have water again. Chapter 5, The World Awakes. As the animals gathered for a long time, they heard a strange, tiny voice calling, Let me try to make him laugh." It was Eel, who had slithered up from a dry billabong. Oh, do you remember from Big Rain Coming? What is a billabong? It's a water hole. He began to dance. First, he moved slowly, but soon he danced faster and faster. He wiggled, twisted himself into strange shapes. Then he jumped onto Tiddalick's tummy, spinning round like a tornado. Tiddalick began to shiver. Tiddalick began to quiver. Tiddalick began to giggle. Tiddalick's giggle became a gurgle. Tiddalick's gurgle became louder and louder until the earth trembled. Then, all of a sudden, he began to laugh. The animals ran for shelter as water gushed out of his mouth like a huge waterfall. Tiddalick laughed until every drop of water was out of his mouth. The water filled the lakes, the ponds, the billabongs, and the swamps. It filled the water holes and the rivers. New life came to the earth. The whole world woke up from a deep sleep. Trees and flowers bloomed. Animals wandered through the grasses. Birds flitted from tree to tree. Slowly, the earth became beautiful again. And Tiddalick became just a little frog. And to this day, the Aboriginal people of Australia know that when they see little frogs filling themselves up with water and burying themselves in the ground, there will soon be a drought. How would you make Tiddalick laugh, friends? Can you write me 3 sentences and tell me what you would do and send me a picture?